Hello, I am Belema and this is
Miriam,
and we are on the
Pressure Points
Podcast. All right, so we'll be talking about high blood pressure at this podcast, and we'll be looking at causative factors and Mimi, what else are we going to be looking out for during the podcast?
We're going to be analyzing the survey that we had put out recently, asking people questions about what they know about high blood pressure. We want to know if people are getting regularly checked, if people actually know the causative factors for high blood pressure.
Yeah, interestingly, Mimi, we're going through the results of the survey, and a lot of people, actually 74%, said they know what the pressure points are for normal blood pressure. And out of them, half of that number, when we asked for exact figures, did not know what the normal blood pressure is. So please, what is a normal blood pressure? Let's start from there.
So according to the World Health Organization, your blood pressure should be 120/80, and it shouldn't actually go below that. It is actually advisable to even go a bit lesser than that, but anything above that is considered mildly hypertensive to acutely hypertensive.
Exactly, and some people have blood pressures above 140/90, and interesting enough, they don't even know that they have some issues with their blood pressure. And during the survey, we found out that many people really don't care about their blood pressure. Unfortunately so, knowing that high blood pressure can lead to a lot of other diseases like stroke. And talking about stroke, Mimi, I have a story about my mom. Are you getting me? My mom had issues with her blood pressure. She had access to healthcare services. She checked her blood pressure and she found out that it was high. And okay, before I even go into the story, maybe we found out from the survey that many people only check their blood pressure when they go for regular.
It's more like a case of I went in for a malaria checkup, or I feel sick, I have malaria, and I go to the hospital, and then they check my blood pressure as a routine course, and then they find out that, oh, my blood pressure is elevated. So it's actually funny that people do not know that they could go to a regular pharmacy and be like, oh, please, can you check my blood pressure?
Free.
Which is supposed to be free. I feel like we have to be certain that it's free in all cases, because I've been to pharmacies where they ask for a stipend to check your blood pressure.
Well, I think it's better to pay a stipend than to lose your life. Now, going back to the story of my mom, so she went for her glasses to be checked. She wanted to change her glasses, and she got there and they said, okay, regular checkup, let's check. And her blood pressure was far above 180. And to show how bad it was, they called for an ambulance at the spot and moved her with an ambulance to their bigger facility and managed her till she got back home and gave her drugs and medication. And she started the medication, but somehow she said, because I spoke to her, she said she was consistent, but somehow I felt she was not consistent. I had to go back to Port Harcourt to see her and ensure she took her drugs consistently. And that's where the issue of religion comes into play. People don't want to believe that they have high blood pressure.
Yes, I think it's a stage of denial. A mental health expert will say, sometimes when people go through things, denial is one stage that a lot of people struggle with. I am a young person, and at certain times I have been put on bed rest to oh, your blood pressure is elevated at this point. And I've taught myself to always just follow the cue of the doctor. The specialist always knows the right things to do. But people would rather say, no, it's just today I strained myself too much. They don't actually believe that a person who is 25 years old can actually present cases of high blood pressure.
And you see that's the issue. I think one of the major challenges with people that have high blood pressure, or what you call hypertension, is the fact that they don't want to believe they will take drugs for the rest of their lives, and they feel that I will do without this drug. Unfortunately, so my mom had a stroke as a result of consistently not taking her drugs, and she landed at the hospital February 4th, 2024. And she was bedridden till where we unfortunately lost her. And this has now taken us on this path of creating advocacy and awareness on this ill. It's called actually a silent killer, because you see a lot of people walking on the road and they don't know. They actually have no idea that they are sick and they have high blood pressure. And these things can be managed and checked if found out on time. What do you think?
Yes, so it's a public health concern, to be honest. The fact that there are people walking around and they're like a ticking time bomb. You can just engage in a little squabble and then the person ends up in the critical condition. And the thing is, as Nigerians, we have a lot of people in underserved communities. These people have no access to healthcare. They actually can't even afford going into a pharmacy to even get a blood pressure check. And so this causes a lot of problems. It means that we have a lot more cases than we even think. Your mother is one person who could even go into a health facility to even check for eyes.
She has access to help.
Yes.
Just imagine those that don't have that.
Imagine
access.
those who sleep and do not wake up. We have tons of cases like that, and we rule it out as, oh, okay, maybe something happened, or a person is just a very solemn way to die. But a lot of these blood pressure cases that result in deaths are actually preventable. The fact that people can actually be on controlled medications. In fact, I think people should even start to embrace alternative medicine, because now we're talking about people who cannot afford access to healthcare. My father, for instance, the first time I saw a case of high blood pressure was with my dad. It was really bad. It was so bad that his temperature had gone up. He became very disoriented, and the nurse came and said something. She said, do one or two of these things, mix these herbs. It wasn't even anything rocket science. It was lemons, ginger, and some other things. I can't quite get the entire thing. And I soaked those things up for a number of hours, and I administered it to him. And his blood pressure declined progressively in a number of days. So it means that people need to learn from even the basic things in our kitchen. We can actually help, revert certain issues in our system. Yeah.
And that's why this podcast is here. We're going to be showing you, and we're going to bring in experts in the house. I'm not an expert. Mimi, are you an expert?
Well,
so we're going to bring experts in the house that will tell you from the health standpoint, as doctors, as nutritionists, as alternative practitioners, to see, okay, how can we help ourselves in this age where we have this silent killer ravaging us. Also, on the screen right now, you will see WHO statistics as it regards to high blood pressure, and it's a major cause of death in Africa. These statistics are horrible. They are scary, and I'm wondering why is nobody talking about it. Mm-hmm. We have our young people dropping. If you remember, maybe in the last 1 month, we've had some celebrities in Nigeria. Yeah. We've had a senator that just dropped dead. We've had a popular artist, a long-time icon in Africa that just dropped dead after a performance. We don't know what were the causative factors of these things, but you can see these are some signs that these people were overworked and stressed, because stress is a major causative factor of high blood pressure. And I know the World Health Organization has said people should also reduce their intake of salt. What else do you think people should stop taking that will help reduce this rampant issue of high blood pressure?
I would say, top of my head, it will be caffeine. Mm-hmm. Anything that triggers your heart to overrun. High cholesterol meals, those things are like, it's not rocket science. I always like to say it's not rocket science, because sometimes you can even tell after eating a meal and going to bed, your heart starts to burn. You have this discomfort. A lot of times when you do this over a period of time and you go to the hospital and say, okay, do me a lipid function test, or check my cholesterol levels, before you know it, you see that you're already on a skyrocketed part of it. So I feel like half of this problem can be solved by people taking the initiative to even start checking their blood pressure regularly. Check your blood pressure regularly, reduce stressors. Mm-hmm. Make sure that you're eating healthy. I know that in this part of the world, it is a big deal to even eat 3 square meals, to even incorporate vegetables and fruits. It is actually like you're asking for a buffet in some homes. But I feel like the most part of our society, we have people who are farmers, who are not even probably wealthy, and they have access to herbs around them, but they don't even take the initiative to take care of themselves. We used to think that when somebody is very, very physically active, it means that they are not at risk for high blood pressure, but that's a lie, because you can actually be very physically active and still fall down and die. I think there was a case recently of a young person who was playing football and just
this celebrity blogger also. I mean, it's been rampant. It's been a rampant case in our state, and also some causative factors like the World Health Organization has clearly stated is alcohol and tobacco. If we can reduce the intake of alcohol, I know Africans like to drink, but please can we reduce?
Especially those ones that they hawk.
Yes. So please, can we reduce the intake of alcohol and tobacco? And some of the ways to even mitigate this is exercise. And I'm going on an exercise program. Trust me, I've decided to take this seriously. So if you can also work out and have some exercises done, it would help a long way so that you don't get to the point where you have to continuously be on medication to control your blood pressure.
Also, a lot of people are at risk. There are people who were not born with any risks attached to it. So maybe your bloodline, there's nothing like hypertension and all of that. And then there are people who along the line, because of poor health choices, become hypertensive. So now for people who are at risk, like you already know that probably your father had it, your grandfather had it, your mom had it, those kind of people are supposed to take extra measures. You know, you can't be...
But what about people that don't even know? Because from our survey, we found out that some people don't even know whether they have it in their families. They don't even know whether they are at risk. They really don't care. And guess what? From the survey, I noticed that this blood pressure is not a respecter of age. You saw a young lady of 20 and that's on constant medication for high blood pressure. Thank God she even found out on time. And I mean, what would have happened to her? So it's not a respecter of person.
And also the lady who found out while she was pregnant.
So you can see that some causative factors are also pregnancy. So there are a lot of things that would unravel as we continually show in this podcast to you guys are called pressure points. We'll look at everything around it, how you can help yourself. Always click like and share our posts on social media so that more people can get to see it and we can know, okay, how do we solve this together, especially using natural methods so that we can all save ourselves and save the environment.
Yes. So check your blood pressure today.
Yeah, they should check their blood pressure today every time. And guess what? We have devices that help. So most of you wear wristwatches that can check blood pressures. You have a phone, smartwatches, smartphones. So just use it. Just get to know. Don't be scared. The first step is to get to know your blood pressure. Check your blood pressure today. Thank you very much for watching this podcast today. I'm glad to meet you once again. My name is Belema, and on the show with me is
Miriam.
All right, bye.
Bye.